Welcome back to the Blockbuster Brothers. Today we are following up about the Canelo fight live on Netflix. Now, Brian, 70,000 people were physically there at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, an absurd amount of people. And the live gate revenue, 47 million. And Netflix says the fight drew 41 million viewers globally. Now, we had made some predictions in our last video on this, and it did not hit the same numbers as Mike Tyson. Definitely not.
It didn't do as big.
No, Mike Tyson
Wow.
was up way higher. I think just because of that sheer Tyson plus the Paul brothers that,
Yeah.
but I was
Maybe just people want to see Jake getting beat up that bad. And they just want it might not be as much love as it is hate, and also you got a lot more a younger audience. You have all the YouTube, and I think there's a lot of casuals. We live in a time full of casuals, and that's a fight for the casuals, and this might be a little bit more a fight for not so much.
Yeah, and for comparison, the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight did 108 million. Okay. But this fight was a massive success, I think, from Netflix's standpoint. The production was good. The fight was pretty darn good, even though it looked like Canelo's kind of big shots were a bit predictable. I saw this guy breaking down how Canelo has become a little bit unpredictable when he's trying to throw knockout punches. So Crawford was just able to step off, and really kind of dominated the fight. I think they said one or two judges had it tied going into the 10th, which was absurd. But this ranked number one on Netflix in 30 countries, and it made the top 10 in 91 countries. So a massive success for Netflix.
Yeah, and I think there's a couple things that stood out to me. First off, I think how overhyped maybe Canelo is, and how these people that are in the mainstream, and just because you're seeing a person, I think the friends of mine who are in the boxing know how really we're pushing Crawford, and I think again it was the casuals and everybody who hadn't been watching pick Canelo. Canelo has been, showing signs of this, of a little regression in his game. He is getting older, and Crawford pieced him up. Canelo didn't really see me like he had much very good footwork, wasn't really putting together any good combos, and Crawford just outmatched him. He was the better. The better fighter. I think he was understated this whole time, and he dominated. So there's that, and I think he proved a lot of people wrong. I wish I took that betting odds. I think it was like 100. He was minus 185 odds, and Canelo was plus one something. But Crawford really proved himself as the better fighter, and it was really no argument about it. If anything, it was a little bit of a boring fight, just because of how dominant Crawford was. It was to the point where Crawford was like, "I'll stand with you inside of your." I loved how he was fighting southpaw. He was like inside of Canelo's stance, and he was just not afraid of him at all. He was like talking crap after the third round, and he was like, "You can't hurt me." And I like, it was just like, not that I haven't seen that before, but he was head and shoulders above Canelo, and made him look bad. So that's kind of my thoughts on the fight. I think as well. I will comment on this. I think that the UFC and bringing Dana in was probably I'm actually seeing a lot of grief that the announcers are getting. And people are giving a lot of flack, even though I enjoyed it. I think John Anik has a great sound, and he's a great pro. I think that the reason why Netflix brought Dana White into this was to bring the UFC's production quality to this fight. These last couple of fights, the celebrity boxing, the promotion has been a little janky. The announcers aren't always great. You know, I hadn't know they had like Snoop Dogg. And again, we talk about this all the time on the show about, you know, just because it's a great cameo doesn't mean, you know, if the quality suffers, then you can't count on a cameo to do anything for you. You need people that know what they're talking about. It's awesome to see, you know, Max Keller or you know, what's his name, Max Kellerman, and also the other fighter, Andre Ward, were the two boxing announcers with John Anik. And it seemed like there's a little beef between the John Anik between Max Keller and Andre Ward, maybe because they feel like UFC, you know, is kind of you know, Anik striking and kind of the clashing between the two sports. There has been some in the past, and maybe there is some animosity or a little bit of like, oh, now the UFC is coming for, you know, the UFC announcers are coming for the boxing spot. But I really thought it was compared to what we've been seeing in some of these Netflix and stream productions, this was a really great production, I thought. And even though I'm seeing people griping about the announcers, I still think that they did a good job, and we've seen far, far worse. So I think this was a great sign for Netflix. I hope that they do more of these events. I think this is bringing more people into the world of boxing and other competitive sports. And I hope, you know, that they keep going. I think, you know, again, if we're going to be paying $80 for, you know, a pay-per-view, and we're already paying for Netflix, you're not going to catch me on purely just a financial statement talking crap about this, because my wallet is still got the cash in it this weekend after watching that fight. And that's all I really care about at the end of the day, selfish as that is.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think you got a great point. I'm paying a monthly fee for Netflix, and I get one of the biggest boxing events of the decade, if not the biggest. And I get 5 hours of content for free live. Like, it's a no-brainer. And I'm happy you brought up John Anik. He is unbelievable. Okay. And if you're holding grudges, boxers going, I don't want UFC people, and UFC people not wanting you know, boxers in their world, that is so dumb. We're talking about combat sports being on the same page and unifying rather than being divisive. Like, guys, watching great athletes perform is awesome. Let's all appreciate it. UFC is mixed martial arts, and boxing is a part of mixed martial arts. So they're all tied together. I didn't have any problem with the announcing. I really enjoyed it. And, you know, it's kind of not Crawford's fault that he's not got the big superstar ego that Mayweather has and other people. So it was really cool to see him kind of get his due, not only for the win, but to get this big fanfare that, let's be frank, like Canelo mostly brought. You know, the reason why this fight was so big was mostly because Canelo was fighting. And I don't mean that in any disrespect. Obviously, Crawford's the better fighter. And it was just really cool to see Crawford be looked down upon, have less hype, have less of an audience, and then boom, still came out on top.
Just absolutely dominated. And you know, I'll be the first to call myself a casual, especially when it comes to the sport of boxing. And I think maybe that's why John Anik didn't bother me as much, is because I am more UFC leaning. And that those are the fights that I've been watching, and I haven't been watching boxing. Not that I wouldn't, it's just the competition isn't there. And as you saw during that fight, it's a little slow. These boxing match and the UFC fights that are going on, these guys, you know, they're putting on a show. That Silva Lopez fight was off the chain and pretty crazy, even going 2 rounds. And, you know, I think maybe that's a little bit of an animosity there. You know, boxing and UFC button heads. But, you know, at the end of the day, I think the fans are what's important. We talked about a little bit, as long as the announcers are as passionate or more knowledgeable than the audience that is watching. That's why I think is like, you know, I get people's gripes about it for those avid boxing fans when someone comes in and starts using language and verbiage that isn't right for the right sport. You know, you have a right to be upset. I do get that, and I do appreciate that, because, you know, again, I think that it's all respect. It all comes down to respecting things that people love, and it's all coming from a place of love, even when it's a little bit of hate. But you're not going to get any hate from us. We love you all, and we'll catch you all in another episode of the Blockbuster Brothers. Let us know what you think of the fight. Catch you next time.